All right, so it's important to understand the other side of the perspective also in the Justice Ranjan Gogoi controversy. I have Lalitha Kumaramangalam, leader of the BJP. Thank you very much, Lalitha ji, for joining us right here on NDTV. I don't know whether you were able to hear what Rajiv Nayyar had to say. In fact, I would request you that post this interview, you must also listen to Kapil Sibal's interview also, which will play out. But what's your opinion?
Okay. Look, Ranjan Gogoi has made it very clear that he has accepted the nomination because, to put it roughly in his words, that the legislative and the judiciary should now learn to understand each other, should be able to work together, etc. And he wants to put the views of the legislative before the judiciary and that of the judiciary before the legislative. Now, let us remember that he's a nominated member. He hasn't been elected, which means that he does not need to swing either right or left, politically speaking, and he can quite often be his own man. Let's also remember his history in the Supreme Court, that famous press conference of 2018, where he was with Justices Chelameshwar, Thakur, etc. And also the fact that, I think part of the criticism against him today is prompted by the disaffection of the Congress with regard to his where he was part of a bench in both cases, the judgments on Rafale and the Ram Janmabhoomi land. So I think we need to give him a chance to be able to, he has said he'll come to Delhi and then he'll talk about, all of this, why he's going to accept the nomination before the press, to the press. So I think we should give him a chance to clarify why he's accepted it.
Sure.
But let's also remember that this is not the first time that a judge has been nominated. The first time a Chief Justice of India, yes, but Justice Mishra was a member of the Rajya Sabha for I think almost 5 to 6 years, yes, for 6 years.
98 to 2004.
When he was nominated by the Congress. Not nominated, I'm sorry. Yeah, where he was actually a member of the Congress party. So it's a bit hypocritical, I think, of any party to turn around and say, given the fact that there is a precedent, that before Justice Gogoi has actually explained why he is going to accept the nomination, and the President has the full power. He has nominated many people earlier who've hardly even attended Parliament. So
but
let's
then,
give Justice
Lalitha
Gogoi a chance.
How would you respond to allegations of a possible quid pro quo? Because this comes very close to him having delivered a lot of judgments, many would say favorable to the government, and this comes too close to his resignation. Just 4 months.
Look, Justice Gogoi has not only delivered judgments that are supposed to be in favor of the government.
I inadvertently and accidentally used the word resignation. I mean retirement. My apologies.
Yes, retirement. Yes. I understood that you'd made, it was a slip of the tongue. Let's not forget that while Justice Gogoi may have delivered a couple of judgments which people seem to think are pro the government, let's not forget that he's also been very, very critical of the Modi government earlier. And I don't think that all his judgments were pro-government at all. He could be considered a fairly, non-biased, unbiased judge. And he's a very respected man. Personally, I feel that much of this criticism is like sour grapes, and almost akin to the criticism that was made of Abdul Kalam when Atalji first made him President of India. I'm sure you'd remember the amount of criticism that was made against Abdul Kalam, and he turned out to be easily one of the best presidents and one of the most well-loved presidents of this country. Without doubt, one of the best men you could find in or out of politics. So I think that we should give Justice Gogoi a chance and not immediately politicize the whole thing. He's he's going to be a nominated member of the Rajya Sabha.
Let me now
not
remind
elected by any party.
Okay, now my third question, let me now remind you of the view of two senior BJP leaders, one late Arun Jaitley and Nitin Gadkari. They've both opposed post-retirement jobs, saying that this will affect key judgments. Why does the BJP now do the same? This was done in 2012, by the way. I'm quoting what they did in 2012, their statements. Now that they are in power, now that your party is in power.
Yes, I remember.
Why does this view not matter of your own leaders?
No, I'm not saying that Arunji in his own way and at that time was not correct. But let's remember that Arunji himself was an extraordinarily acute and extraordinarily good legal mind. And with his passing, the BJP has lacked some sort of, I don't know how to put it in plain words. The sort of sagacity that Arunji brought to legal issues in the Rajya Sabha, especially from where he could talk to both sides.
You think
Arunji may have belonged to the BJP all his life, the ABVP BJP, but
after having written blogs openly against post-retirement appointments,
I can't.
No, his view was clear.
Yes, I know he had written, but circumstances changed, Sanket. Let's also not forget that, as I said, Arunji himself was such a brilliant legal luminary that perhaps his judgment was based on his own legal luminescence, for want of a better word. And the Justice Gogoi could well fulfill step in perhaps at least partly the role that Arunji used to play. Arunji was one of the few people who could actually reach across to all parties, regardless. And he was a very respected man. I hope that Gogoi will try to fill that space. But I think he will do more than that. As he has said, he has been a very the senior most member of the judiciary in this country. And his is a voice that will be listened to by everybody. Because I think he's a very reasonable man.
Okay. Justice.
And was a very reasonable judge.
Who? You're talking about Justice Gogoi?
Yes.
Okay. So, Lalitha Kumaramangalam.
Leave the politics out of it. As a judge, I don't think he was
Justice Ranjan Gogoi's own words. His own wisdom, 27th March 2019, a write-up by the Press Trust of India, where he's quoted as saying, or he was part of a 5-judge bench, which remarked that accepting post-retirement assignments will be a sort of a scar on the judiciary. Scar, that was the word that he used. You think he did not listen to his own advice?
Yes.
These were his views.
No, I think he is looking at the current circumstances, the political circumstances in India today,
like what,
which are very scarred by a lot of dissension, not just between the left and the right or the liberals and the non-liberals and all these words that are often used. They are so inimical. Politics has become extremely inimical in this country. You yourself have often enough commented that, in politics we tend to be extremely vicious about each other, especially the people on the other side. And this man, maybe he feels that he could be some sort of a bridge. Now, I am only guessing. I can't talk for Justice Gogoi, which is why I am repeatedly saying this ad nauseum almost, that we should give him a chance to, when he comes to Delhi, when he speaks to the public and the
we'll
press,
have to wait to listen to what he has to say.
Lalitha
ji, my final question, very quickly, I want to ask you, a lot of people have spoken about a possible cooling off period, perhaps by law, so that this, at least the confidence of people in the independence of judiciary should remain. Do you think that's the need of the hour going ahead?
Look, if people feel that way, I'm sure that they should be able to lobby for it. They should be able to advocate, not lobby. Lobby is the wrong word. Advocate for it. And they should, actually bring in some sort of resolution or a law, or at least, if not actually in, in legal jurisprudence, at least something that Parliament or the executive and the judiciary agrees upon. If that's how they feel. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to just carte blanche say it's also exactly the right thing to do. But if people feel strongly enough, this is a free country. They should be able to try and do something.
All right. Lalitha Kumaramangalam, many thanks for joining us to give us your perspective, which is also equally important. And of course, we'll have to wait to listen to what Justice Gogoi will have to say, because in 1 year, what has dramatically changed that he has chosen to take this decision, only he can tell.